Good evening, everyone. Today is the 4th of February, 2020. The time is 6:30. We'd like to begin our City Council meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. If you'd please join us. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ask the city clerk if she would do roll call.
Harrington.
Here.
McKinney.
Here.
O'Doherty.
Here.
Pierce.
Here.
Schuster.
Here.
Stalder.
Here.
Weaver.
Here.
Gabriel.
Here.
Shumway.
Here.
That's 9 present and 0 absent, Your Honor.
Thank you. We begin each of our city council meetings with a public comments, and we will have this clock set to 3 minutes. You'll have 3 minutes to make comments for us to enjoy, and also when you come forward, if you'd give us your name for the record so we'd have that. So at this time, anyone that would like to come forward and make public comments on non-agenda items, if there's anyone, you're welcome to come forward. Seeing none, we'll close the public comment period and move on to our Vice Mayor, who will take us through potential, changes in the agenda and setting the agenda. Vice Mayor Gabriel.
Thank you, Mayor. I would move that the following changes to the agenda be approved: to add an executive session to item 17 regarding land negotiations, Wyoming Statute 16-4-405A, Roman numeral 7, and litigation, Wyoming Statute 16-4-405A, Roman numeral 3.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded by Councilor Pierce. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Then I would move, Mayor, that the agenda be set as changed.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded by Councilor Pierce. All in favor of setting the agenda as changed indicate by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that agenda, our agenda now has been set. At this time, we don't have any proclamations. We do have a public hearing. I'd ask our city clerk to read the notice of the public hearing.
Notice is hereby given that the Wyoming Business Council is seeking a grant and loan applications from counties, incorporated cities, towns, joint powers boards, and tribes for the Business Ready Community Grant and Loan Program. The intent of this program is to ready a community for a new business development through economic and educational development projects, which may include but not limited to water, sewer, streets, and roads, telecommunications, airports, purchase of rights-of-way, purchase of land, buildings, facilities, industrial and business parks, industrial site or business district development, amenities within a business or industrial park, landscaping, recreational and convention facilities, or other physical projects. The rules governing the BRC grant and loan program are available through the Wyoming Business Council or www.wyomingbusiness.org. The City of Laramie intends to submit an application for a BRC Enhancement Grant Award to install wayfinding signage through the community and to make the streetscape enhancements at key corridors and entry points, and is seeking citizen input. Those wishing to comment on this project are encouraged to attend a public hearing on February 4th, 2020 at 6:30 p.m. in the council chambers of City Hall, 406 Ivinson Avenue. Citizens can also submit written comments to City Manager's Office. Attention, Sarah Reese, P.O. Box C, Laramie, Wyoming 82073, or sreese@cityoflaramie.org. All written comments must be received no later than 5:00 p.m. on February 4th, 2020. The City of Laramie will take all comments made at the public hearing and written comments submitted on or before the deadline into consideration before considering a resolution in support of submitting an application for a 2020 BRC Enhancement Grant Award.
Thank you. So at this time, if there's anyone that would like to make public comments either for or against these applications for business-ready committed grants, you're welcome to come forward and speak. Seeing none, we will close this public hearing. Next, we have announcements, and I believe we have some announcements. Let's see, Assistant City Manager Todd Feaser.
Thank you, Mayor. Tonight, it gives me great pleasure to introduce our December Rock Star of the Month, Eric Japp from Engineering. Eric was originally nominated by Brian Harrington for his work on the UW housing study at a presentation he gave based on his professionalism and the thoroughness and handling the questions and what he had done. But, I'd like to talk about Eric on another side. First off, I'm not sure how many of you know, but he did go to the greatest high school in the history of the world. It happens to be the same high school that I attended in Casper, Wyoming, Casper Kelly Walsh, and it's really a joy to have him on board with us. But I've actually had the pleasure of working with numerous engineers throughout my career, and I've actually told Eric this, that by far he's one of the most competent and capable and enjoyable engineers that I've had a chance to work with. Eric's got Laramie's best interests at heart. He takes great pride in what he does, and he's got really some good care and concern. For the staff, it's really important for us that we can get Eric out of the box. A lot of engineers fall into that box and they like to design a box inside of a box, but Eric's willing to get on board with us and help us find other ways to get things done, and the city of Laramie is truly blessed to have him on board. A few other things about Eric that I know that weren't in his rock star is he really is a tech guy. He's one of the only people I've talked to that use the Ridley's online ordering app and delivery. So, I was actually shocked when he told me that, and he was the first in line at the Walmart online ordering an app piece, so that he's really enjoyed that. He's taken great pride in growing his knowledge, stretching his limits. Even as we took on the drones, he had to take the test for the aeronautical testing. So, without any further ado, it gives me great pleasure to introduce Eric Japp, our city engineer.
Thank you very much for that, Todd, and thank you, council, and for being able to be recognized for this, and thank you, Council Harrington, for the nomination for that. So, it really is great to work here at the city of Laramie. I really enjoy it. The staff here is great, and I really can't say I probably wouldn't be the rock star of the month here if it hadn't been for my staff in engineering and also everybody I work with here at the city. So, do want to thank you for that and appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate all you do.
Picture.
Do it.
So Eric, do you just hate grocery shopping? Or? Is that real questions?
Lauren does all that. He just goes and picks
She
it up.
does.
All right, 1, 2, 3. All right, thank you.
We're all looking with admiration.
Sorry. I just wanted to make sure you're around.
Eric, Casper Kelly Walsh will be replaced by the greatest high school, Laramie High School. That'll all be edited and fixed.
So our city manager is
Congratulations.
a graduate of Casper, right?
Yeah, I don't know about Kelly
Yeah.
Walsh.
Kelly Walsh? Natrona, which one?
Smart. Todd will find out for us.
We have some great employees.
City
and
attorney's
thank you for
Michigan, someplace in Michigan.
recognizing our employees, Councilor Harrington. Okay. At this point, I'm going to ask if there's any disclosures by any of the city council members on any item on the consent or regular agenda that they would like to make disclosures on a conflict of interest at this time. Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to the approval of the consent agenda. Vice Mayor Gabriel.
Thank you, Mayor. I would move that the consent agenda be approved. Each specific action on the consent agenda be approved as indicated.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded by Councilor Schuster. Do we have roll call?
Harrington,
Yes.
McKinney,
Yes.
O'Doherty,
Yes.
Pierce,
Yes.
Schuster,
Yes.
Stalder,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Gabriel,
Yes.
Shumway.
Yes,
That's 9 yeses and 0 nos, Your Honor.
thank you. The consent agenda has been approved. Now we move to the regular agenda. The first item on the regular agenda is item number 11. Counselor Schuster.
Thank you. The title of this original ordinance, number 2007, vacating the alley right-of-way within Block 183, original Town of Laramie. I move to approve original ordinance number 2007 on third and final reading, vacating approximately 4,600 square foot of area of a right-of-way within Block 183, original Town of Laramie, as recommended by the Planning Commission, based on findings of facts and conclusions of law, and authorize the mayor and clerk to sign the ordinance.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded by Vice Mayor Gabriel. Mr. Teeny.
Mayor and council, this is the third reading of the ordinance. I really don't have anything to add. I do know that the applicants are here as well, if you have any questions for them or myself, so.
Questions? Any questions or comments from the audience regarding the vacation of this alley? Okay, we'll go back to council. Any comments from the council before we go to the vote? Yes, Councilor Weaver. as
Thank you, Mr.
expected.
Mayor. Can't believe that we would just be silent on the topic after so much discussion. I originally had some reservations about this, Mr. Mayor. It's a curious situation, given that it's more of an administrative alleyway than an alleyway that's ever been used. There's always been something constructed over the top of it in my lifetime. I was glad that we were able to hear from folks from the university about some of the process. And Mr. Mayor, I understand that you'll have a role, at least in some fashion, as the rest of the planning for this moves forward. So I'm going to go ahead and vote for the vacation of this. I think there are a number of reasons that the council needs to do that. I appreciate anybody that feels differently. I appreciate that point of view. But my vote here is just more going to be one of optimism and hope that we can reach a reasonable accommodation for public parking. I think we have a good relationship with the University of Wyoming in a number of ways. Parking, it's not a secret, can be a sticking point sometimes in terms of the community impact that projects at the university have, but that doesn't mean that they're insurmountable sticking points. And I think we'll be able to figure something out regarding this that will meet community needs and satisfy the council and some of the other concerns we've expressed. I'm hopeful we can do that. I have no reason to believe that the university and the city can't come to that accommodation. So I'll go ahead and vote for this again. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Any other comments from council?
Just that I agree with him wholeheartedly. I hope that after, I'm going to use the word 5 o'clock, that if there's something going on at one of the auditoriums on university property, that hopefully people can use it, because parking is absolutely horrific sometimes down there. And I know that they're building this multi-layer facility and thank goodness, because it might ease up the parking in the residential areas down there, and that'll be great. Looking forward to the project. A couple of them.
Thank you, Councilor Schuster. Any other comments? Yes, Councilor Stalder.
Thank you, Councilor Weaver, for bringing up the fact that it is an imaginary alleyway. And I know it seems kind of ridiculous to sort of flex over an imaginary alleyway, but we've heard a lot of concerns from our constituents just about parking. And I truly hope that we'll be able to figure something out. Yeah, I think it's our role to be the voice of our constituents, and I hope it'll work out well, but guess we'll see what happens.
Anyone else? I will say this, I have been invited by the council and also by the university to participate in some of the process going on in improving parking. This is one of the projects that we're talking about. And it was mentioned that we have a good relationship with the university. I sense that as I meet with them. They genuinely are interested in the community, and we want to continue that relationship. So I too will vote in support of this. Any final thoughts before we go to the vote? we have a roll call?
McKinney,
No.
Pierce,
No.
Stalder,
No.
Harrington,
Yes.
O'Doherty,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Schuster,
Yes.
Gabriel,
Yes.
Shumway.
Yes.
That's 6 yeses, 3 nos, Your Honor.
Okay, so that item passes. I'm sure all of you were holding your breath when the first 3 votes were no. Now let's go to the next item, which is item number 12, Counselor O'Doherty.
I move that the council accept the bias crime report for calendar year 2019 in accordance with Laramie Municipal Code 9.08.020.
Second.
Second was by,
Either one of us.
okay, we're gonna go with Counselor Pierce. It's been moved and seconded. I think Assistant Chief Terry is going to give us the report.
Good evening, Council, Honorable Mayor, Robert Terry with the Laramie Police Department. I'm here tonight to present to the Council the 2019 Laramie Police Department's Bias Crime Report. Tonight, there was one potential bias crime that was reported to the Laramie Police Department in 2019, which, upon further investigation, was deemed to be unfounded. However, we still put it in the report for you guys in the review tonight. I guess a little bit of history on the bias crime report for those that may not know. We began this back in 2000. It was part of Municipal Code 9.08.020, which was a local ordinance mandating a yearly report to the council of all bias crime-related reports investigated by the Laramie Police Department. The ordinance further mandated that guidelines for the designation of the bias crimes be established and that all Laramie police officers are trained in the proper identification, investigation, and classification of bias crimes. And this also has extended into our records division as well. So that's kind of the history of it. Available for any questions.
Any questions from the council? Counselor Doherty.
The one crime that was investigated, was it decided it wasn't a crime or it wasn't a bias crime?
Thank you. Councilor Doherty, the crime was reported back in August, and essentially a person made a report to the Laramie Police Department that they felt that services were not rendered to them by a local business due to their sexual orientation. We do take these crimes seriously. The officer did an investigation and met with 2 upper persons of that business and found out that not only do they have policy against that, but that this was completely unfounded. I should also add that when the person made the report, there was not a specific, I guess, belief that there was services not provided because of the sexual orientation. It was actually deemed to be unfounded.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Commander Terry? Assistant Chief Terry? Anything from the public regarding bias crime reporting? Any comments from the council before we vote to accept the report? Councilor Pierce.
So, I apologize for my ignorance, but bias crime has a federal definition?
It does. So I'm sorry.
Go ahead, so,
I guess I was just going to try to answer the question by, we're mandated by the Uniform Crime Report to
Okay.
report all potential bias crimes to the UCR, the Uniform Crime Report, which would be, I wrote them down to make sure I didn't forget it, but race, religion, sexual orientation, disability, gender, kind of the top 5.
so in regards to our ordinance related to sexual orientation, does that have any impact on the bias crime report? Was that used as a reference or not? Or were we strictly following federal guidelines?
Well, we're going to follow the federal guideline for the reporting. As far as a potential crime, the allegation was that services weren't rendered and that there could have been potentially an issue. I'm trying to be cognizant of the case, so I don't give too many details out, but of the food that was served to the person being potentially contaminated because of the person's sexual orientation. But as far as the report, we're going to follow the UCR crime, and then we determined there was no crime that hadn't
Okay.
been committed.
Okay.
Councilor Doherty.
I just want to state that I'm grateful that the training, the department does training on bias crime. And I think it's good to know that our police force is trained as such. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Could we have roll call? Thank you. Roll call.
Weaver,
Yes.
Stalder,
Yes.
Schuster,
Yes?
Pierce,
Yes.
O'Doherty,
Yes.
McKinney,
Yes.
Harrington,
Yes.
Gabriel,
Yes.
Shumway.
Yes.
That's 9 yeses and 0 nos, Your Honor.
Next item is item number 13. That's Councilor Doherty again.
I move to award the professional services agreement for recycling services to Waste Management of Colorado Incorporated and authorize the mayor and clerk to sign.
Second.
I'm going to give this one to Councilor Schuster. So motion's been made and Councilor Schuster seconded it. Mr. Webb.
Honorable excuse me. Honorable Mayor, City Council, as you know, our single stream recycling program started just over 8 years ago. When we started that program, Waste Management was a huge partner for us, getting it off the ground. They were here in town a lot, helping things roll out with the program. They helped us with the construction of the building out there that we originally handled the recycling in. The original contract with them was for 5 years, and then we had 3 one-year extensions. We've expired all of those at this point, and so basically it's time to roll into a new contract. We went out for RFQ back in October. Excuse me. Waste Management was the only one we received. I think as we heard at the work session, they're the only ones within 500 miles that handle this quantity of materials. As far as the contract itself, the only big change that people are going to see is that the number 3 to number 7 plastics is moving from a recyclable item to a non-recyclable item. As we discussed at the work session, there's no viable market in the entire world for the 3 to 7 plastics right now. And the industry's predicting that that's not going to come back in at least 5 to 10 years. Our plan is as soon as this contract gets signed, we are working with Waste Management to start a public education campaign on the 3 to 7 plastic, letting people know that will no longer be included into the recycling system. If you have any questions?
Questions? Councilor Schuster.
If people continue to put 3 to 7 in there, will it deem that bale of recyclable products contaminated, or will we just get a small charge for them sorting out the 3 to 7? Do you know that?
Yeah, Honorable Mayor, Council Schuster, we're basically charged for the 3 to 7 plastic. We're charged for it now, and that charge will basically continue. The more education we can get out there and we can get people to lower the amount they put in there, the lower that monthly charge will be, the percentage will go down on it. So the charge is already there and it will remain there. Just if we can get the levels down, it'll bring the monthly charge down.
Thank you.
Councilor Weaver.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, through you, Mr. Webb, I just want to thank you. I think you and your department have continued to be really supportive of our recycling program, trying to make it a viable program that does what we want it to do, and we really appreciate it. I think the community appreciates it. I know they do. Bouncing off of Councilor Schuster's question just a little bit, I just want to make sure I understand that right. So if our customers here in Laramie, in spite of our efforts to educate them about the 3 to 7 plastics, if they go ahead and put those in the recycling anyway, those items that can be recycled still will be. Those other items will be sorted out, and Laramie will have to receive a charge for those, as we do now. But that's functionally how the system is going to continue to work. Is that right?
That's correct.
All right. That, Mr. Mayor, makes me feel a little bit better about this, because I have received some communication from a couple of constituents saying, you know, I'm at this point not really able to do that or willing to do that, or various comments about the 3 to 7 plastic, so I wanted to make sure that I was understanding that correctly. Hopefully, we'll get to a point where people are going to head and sort those plastics out. I understand that, but I think it's probably realistic to assume there will be some 3 to 7 plastics that enter into this single stream, but it doesn't sound like it's going to impact it too much. We hope. Thank you.
Thank you. There will be an ongoing education program by the city. Right now, I just tell everyone, look on your plastics to see what number is there. If it's 3 through 7, goes through your regular, goes to the landfill instead of through recycling. Any other questions for yes, Councilor Pierce?
Do you know if every product that's available has to have that stamp? Is it a mandate? Because I've looked at products recently because of all our discussion, and I'm like, where's the number? You know, and I'm looking, and how am I gonna know? And I know that'll be part of our education process, but it's not a federal mandate that it has to be stamped with the 3 or 4 or 5 or?
Counselor
Do we know?
Pierce, through you, Mayor, I believe it is a federal mandate, but I agree with you. I've seen some stuff that doesn't have the stamps on it.
Right.
I think the majority of them do. And part of the materials we'll put out is basically if it's a drink or a food container that will accept a screw top on it, it's most likely a 1 or 2 plastic. There are some exceptions to that, but for the most part, that's going to cover 99% of your 1 and 2 plastics.
So the bottom line is we have to check and we have to keep the 3 to 7 out of our recycling and put it into our regular garbage.
Yeah, and the materials we put out, we're gonna have pictures on it, we're gonna really explain it. I mean, it's not just us that's doing this campaign, it's all over the country, everybody's doing it, and there's a million different flyers and materials out there that we can use and pull from, and again, Waste Management is the leader in the industry and already has materials together.
Okay. Thank you.
Vice Mayor Gabriel, then we'll go to Councilor Doherty.
Brooks is just curious, your plans on getting the word out to the major people in our community, the university, the school district, all of those institutions. That's probably a pretty big task, I would imagine. Do you have anything specific that you're going to educate people on 3 to 7?
Yeah, Councilor Gabriel, through you, Mayor. I think what we've seen in the past, the biggest bang for our buck is in our utility bill, because those are the folks that actually have the recycling carts at their house. And I understand not everybody always looks at their utility bill. I don't. I pay mine automatically online. But that's where we've seen our biggest bang for the buck in the past. We'll put it in the newsprint. We'll work with the university, public information folks, and social media. And we're going to do everything we can to get it out there. One of the things we've always talked about is stickers on the containers for different items. So we're going to go down every avenue we can.
Thank you.
Councilor Doherty?
I told Brooks earlier today that I personally volunteer to go down every alley and put stickers on, and I know I can get volunteers. But also, if we had the hangers, if they hang on the can, then the person can see and would have a reference, which I think would be helpful. So I'm grateful for everything you're doing to try to help us recycle. Thank you.
Any other questions from the council? Anything from the public for this item on recycling? Our contract? Any comments from the city council before we vote? Councilor?
One quick comment.
Yes, Councilor Harrington.
I just think it bears repeating that this wasn't a decision we made to reduce our recycling program. There just simply is not a market for this plastic. So I think that just bears repeating to the public. If we would like to sort of counter this, really reduction is the option. So quit using 3 through 7 plastics if you can.
Good, thank you. Councilor Schuster.
And Waste Management informed us that they have a very, very, very large warehouse full of 3 through 7 that we're actually paying a storage fee on, hoping that the market would come back. So there's a tremendous amount sitting in a warehouse down in Colorado, waiting to see if the market will come back, and I imagine gradually they'll probably put that even in a landfill.
I believe so. Yes, Counselor Weaver.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just had a question that occurred to me, and I'm not sure if anybody would be able to answer it, but if anybody can in the room, it's probably Mr. Webb, which is, do we have an estimate of the percentage of consumer plastics? I'm thinking mostly food containers here that 3 to 7 makes up.
Counselor Weaver, through you, Mayor. Last month's audit was 2.58%. So they pulled 2 bales,
Yeah.
sorted the bales. 2.58% was 3 to 7 plastics.
All right, so that 2.5, almost 2.6%, and they're getting that from everybody that they service, so I suppose it does add up pretty quickly, but it's not a huge amount, fortunately. All right, thank you.
It's expensive, that's the whole thing.
And I apologize, Mr. Mayor, I know some of that had been addressed earlier, but
That's okay.
thank you.
It's an important item. Anyone else before we vote? Let's go to roll call.
Schuster,
Yes.
Pierce,
Yes.
Harrington,
Yes.
McKinney,
Yes.
Stalder, O'Doherty,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Gabriel,
Yes.
Shumway.
Yes,
That's 9 yeses and 0 nos, Your Honor.
that item passes. Our next item is item number 14, Counselor Harrington.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to approve Resolution 2020-10, supporting the submittal of a Business Ready Community Enhancement Award in a grant amount not to exceed $480,000 for a total project cost not to exceed $600,000 to support wayfinding, streetscape enhancements, and gateway entry sign improvements in key corridors in the community, and authorize the mayor and clerk to sign.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded by Counselor Pierce. Mr. Feaser.
Pointing at me.
Honorable Mayor, City Council, it's a pleasure to be here today to talk to you about this grant application. I'm going to take the short time that I have with you to describe the four-pronged facet of what the application really entails. The first part of this is to implement the wayfinding plan. The Laramie Main Street spearheaded a wayfinding plan that included the City of Laramie and YDOT and many other stakeholders to design wayfinding to help encourage and help visitors to Laramie find their way through our community. That's our first and foremost objective out of this application. The second portion of the application is an overhead banner project that would include overhead banners at 4 different locations, including Snowy Range Road, by I-80, 3rd Street North and South, and Grand Avenue East, and would be a way to alert people of special events going on in the community on a temporary basis. I think a lot of you have seen them as you travel around communities. Sheridan, Steamboat, and Cody, Jackson has them. The third part of that is gateway enhancements. A lot of you have all seen our Welcome to Laramie signs. They're getting a little bit outdated, and it's time to update those, and there's some options we can do that will improve energy efficiency, whether we switch over to LED lights, and certainly create a better vibrancy as people enter our community. The fourth part of it is for kind of a little bit of unknown, some landscaping improvements and some pieces. We may try to address improvements to our historic lamp post lighting, which is a potential change in those from green to black. Some different options that we might look at as we go through this. This is all in an attempt to meet the requirements of the BRC Enhancement Grant, which is to help communities improve their aesthetic character and quality of life. And so that's really what we're trying to do. A few things that staff has worked on and that Trey at Laramie Main Street has really spearheaded for us is the idea of getting committed partners to participate in our potential $120,000 match. The first partner is Laramie Main Street. That's going to contribute $45,000. that's already committed to it. Laramie Chamber Business Alliance, Brad Enzi is going to contribute $9,166.66. That number comes from Trey's math. She got a little too exact, but we'll take the 66 cents and roll with it. The University of Wyoming, through Bill Mai's office and Gene Garrison, have committed to contributing $15,000. And Albany County Tourism has contributed to the $9,166.66. When we initially started this, it was just to implement the wayfinding, but we chose to increase the amount of the ask to try to pick up the other three pieces that we've already described. As we did that, we reached out to other partners that we have yet to confirm, that we're hoping to confirm by the end of February when the grant's due. Laramie Jubilee Days, in discussions, looks like that they may be able to contribute up to $10,000 over 5 years and become a partner. Albany County Tourism is meeting with their board on the 18th and looking to increase their donation from the $9,000 figure to flat $15,000. Honorable Mayor, you've reached out to the county about potentially partnering with us in this project. And then the City of Laramie has an up to amount of $41,666.68. That amount is up to because as other partners come on board, our amount will decrease and we'll hopefully get there. Our anticipation is use the specific purpose tax that was funded for community enhancements in the gateways, at the signs, and at the one banner installation by Snowy Range Road, because those meet the intent of the entryway in our minds. With that being said, I probably spoke too long on the project. It's being triple-headed by myself, Sarah Reese, and Derek Taney, and we're all equally able to answer your questions. We're happy to do so now, and I'll leave it at that.
Questions for Mr. Feaser? Any questions before we go to the public? As we go to the public, let me just say this. As you can tell, this is a very important project for the Albany County, for the City of Laramie, for the university, for all of the partners that we have involved in this. Hopefully we'll get everyone involved. We appreciate those that have come forward. And as was mentioned, we're still reaching out to others, but this is an important wayfinding opportunity for us, also identifying the places for people visiting our community, and so this is big. Anyway, anything from the public, any comments, questions regarding this grant opportunity? Any comments from the council before we vote? Yes.
Thank you, Mayor.
Councilor Harrington.
As we all learned last week and kind of through the process of our economic development plan, collaboration was the key notion of that plan. So I just wanted to make a quick comment and say that I really appreciated the collaborative nature of this. Before we've even adopted the plan, it's nice to see all of these partners that sat at the table as we rebuilt our plan, already hopping in and getting to work with us. So
Great.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, let's vote on this item.
O'Doherty.
Yes.
Weaver.
Yes.
Schuster.
Yes?
Pierce.
Yes.
McKinney.
Yes.
Harrington.
Yes.
Stalder.
Yes.
Gabriel.
Yes.
Shumway.
Yes.
That's 9 yeses and 0 nos, Your Honor.
Okay, so that item passes, and that concludes the items on our regular agenda. And so now we're going to go back to at the end of each of our city council meetings, we invite the public to come and make public comments on items. It says non-agenda items, but you're welcome to comment on any item that you would like to. You have 3 minutes, so you're welcome to come forward. Give us your name, and we'll start the clock. All right, we won't start the clock because there's no one coming forward. Thank you, everyone, for attending. This is the conclusion then of our city council meeting. We're going to go on to the next item, which is consideration of future council work session topics. So I'm asking the council if there's any item that you would like to have us include on the list that we have, or future council work session topics that we will address. Yes, Councilor Doherty.
I have one if anybody else is interested. If not, you can just tell me, Aaron, go look it up. So I was wondering how the franchise fees work. for the utilities in town, and I see the franchise fees on my bill. And I was wondering what that entitles utilities to when they have a franchise with their city. And if you know where I can just look it up, you can just
Okay.
point me to that.
Well,
Thank you.
Counselor, do you, is there anyone that wants to have a tutorial for not only the council, but also the public on franchise fees? So we can include that. It obviously will not be a full work session, but we could have, anyone want to do that, or should we just have the staff refer you to the, okay, we're
I
gonna
think
put
it'd be good
we're gonna do
information
that.
for the public.
So
I think
add
it's
that
really
to our
good.
list, and I think that's good. Because
It
it's
won't be
not
like-
as simple as it could be, and I think we need to have some education on it, so thank you for bringing that up. Anything else for future council work sessions? Okay. Seeing none, item number 17 is Councilor Pierce.
Okay. I move that we adjourn to executive session regarding land negotiations, Wyoming statute 16-4-405, small letter A, Roman numeral 7, and litigation, Wyoming statute 16-4-405, small letter A, Roman numeral 3.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded by Vice Mayor Gabriel. All in favor of adjourning to executive session for those items, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we're adjourned to executive session. We'll meet down there. Let's try to get started because we've got some people